それでは定刻となりましたので、パネルディスカッション、ジェンダー平等、LGBTQ の権利について開会します。皆様、本日はデモクラシーユースサミットオープンデイにお越しくださいまして、誠にありがとうございます。それでは、これより進行したいと思います。本日司会を務めさせていただきます、日本若者協議会の足富武人と申します。よろしくお願いします。また、本日スタッフはスタッフ証をつけております。もしわからないことがあれば、お気軽にお尋ねください。So, hello everyone. So it's now the scheduled time. So we'll begin the panel discussion, gender equality and LGBTQ rights. So thank you very much for joining us today at the Democracy Youth Summit Open Day. So my name is Taketo from the Japan Youth Council, and I will be your moderator for this session. It's a pleasure to be here with you. So from now, introduce speaker from today. So firstly, like Maria Berenotti from the Argentina. And next is like Greg Midio from the Korea. And next is Shamira Nasrin from Malaysia. And Arunzi Fatima from the Pakistan. Really? No? Korea? Malaysia, right? Shamira Malaysia, Arunzi Fatima? No? Here? No here, okay, so that. And Miss Kurihara and SRHL Youth Alliance. Okay, I'll give it to all you, right? Yeah, okay, I get this one. So at this point, I would like to hand over to our facilitator, Shira, who will guide today's discussion. Over to you.
Alright. Konnichiwa, Singaporeから株したシラです。よろしくお願いします。I'd like to say a very good morning to everyone here in the room. I hope you have a good night last night and a good morning today. As much as possible, I'm your facilitator today, also your speaker in gender equality and LGBTQ rights. Basically, here today we have our most prestigious ladies in the house. Let's give them a round of applause. Yeah, we have Aika, we have Maria, we have Shamira and Miyun, and today they will be sharing a bit more of what they have been going through. But let's just start off with a bit of introduction and one interesting fact about yourself. Okay?
はじめまして、私、栗原愛香と申します。私からはちょっと日本語で前編をお送りしようかなと思っております。私はその SRHR Youth Alliance といったところから参加しておりまして、性と生殖に関する健康と権利に関することを中心に、ジェンダーと平等に関わるような課題に対しての啓発活動というのを今 SRHR Youth Alliance では取り組んでおります。本日はよろしくお願いします。
I have been participating. My name is Aika Kurihara. I have been participating since the time. I have been involved regarding sex and reproduction, focusing on health and rights, and also gender involving issues. I'm engaged in awareness activities, which I am currently working on.
So hello everyone, my name is Maria Berenotti. I'm 19 years old and I'm from Argentina. I'm a second year law student and I work for Youth Diplomats, an organization that depends on the United States Embassy in Argentina. So nice to meet you and it's a pleasure being here.
Sorry. 私はマリア・ベレノッティと申します。アルゼンチンのメントーサ在住19歳です。現在、九条国立大学で法学を専攻する2年生です。
Hi, Assalamualaikum and good day, good morning to all of you here. I'm Shamira Nasrin Ahmadudin from Malaysia, representing the Malaysian Youth Council and also Malaysian Indian Youth Council. It's a great opportunity to be here. Thank you, Japan Youth Council and Malaysian Youth Council for giving me such opportunity. And one interesting fact about myself, probably I'm one of the very few Indian Muslim women, and I advocacy and also outright in advocacy and also in my organization itself. And I came from a very interesting background, Indian Muslim background, and I was raised by a Chinese family. Yeah, so I have pretty good experience and also cultural immersion in growing up as well. Yeah.
こんにちは、シャミーラ・ナスリン・ビンティ・アハメド・ヌルディと申します。マレーシアのユースカウンセルを代表してここに、います。で、自分の特徴といたしましては、インドムスリム、数少ないインドムスリムとしてアドバカシーを行っていること、そして多文化共生に親しんでいることです。
Hello, I'm Miguel. I'm from South Korea and Emerald Valley, which one is a Korean political think tank which are offering better policy to politicians. It is made for we able to make politicians insiders because a lot of young generation just use and discarded by old politicians. So we want to protect ourselves. And part of it is that I graduated girls middle school and girls high school. So yeah, maybe I think more about the girls because it's our situation. Thank you.
こんにちは、科学ミギョンです。政治学、外交学および国際貿易の学士号を取得し、現在は韓国の貿易復興を担う政府機関で勤務しております。韓国の民主主義の発展に取り組む市民団体バリットの積極的なメンバーとして活動しております。
Alright, thank you so much for sharing. Okay. I don't have the mic. Alright, thank you so much for sharing. I hope today's sessions with each of the speakers, you are able to get a bit more of themselves, also some interesting fact about what they are beyond the gender equality. But I think without further ado, let's dive into the topic and let's share about what your country is going through with the gender equality and maybe give us a bit of like a real life situation on how we can understand it about it.
はい、では、日本の現状についてお話ししたいと思います。日本からの参加者の方はご存知の通りなんですけど、日本のジェンダーギャップ指数は118位となっており、その長い間、110位から120位前後を行き来していて、大きな前進が見られない状況が続いています。ジェンダーギャップ指数では教育、経済、健康、政治の4つの領域から決められると思うんですが、その経済と政治領域において女性がマイノリティであるというのが日本の現状となっております。経済面ではその管理職として働く女性の比率が平均で 10% ほどであったり、政治分野ではその参議院ではその女性が 29% ほどですが、その権限の強い衆議院では 15% ほどという低い数値となっていて、女性が多くの意思決定の場所に女性がほとんどいないっていう課題があります。そのため、その女性だったりマイノリティが抱える課題に対しての施策や政策がその後回しにされるっていったことも少なくありません。
Let's begin with talking about Japan's gender gap. Japan currently ranks 180th on the Global Gender Gap Index and has remained between 110th and 120th place for many years, showing little progress. The index is measured across 4 areas: education, economy, health, and politics. Japan's low ranking is largely due to women being a minority in the economic and political spheres. In the economy, women account for only about 10% of managerial positions on average, and women's overall earnings are just around 77 compared to men's 100. In politics, women now make up around 29% of the House of Councillors, but only around 15% of the more powerful House of Representatives. The lack of women in many decision-making spaces often results in policies that fail to adequately address the issues faced by women and minorities.
Okay, hello again. First of all, I want to invite you for imagining that right now somewhere in Argentina, a woman is fighting for her life She could be a daughter, a friend, a sibling, a companion. And sometimes her cry for help does not arrive in time. In my country, every 35 hours, a woman is killed because of the gender-based violence. These are not like distant stories or old statistics. This is like a part of our daily reality. In 2024, according to the National Registry of Femicide, there were 247 legal victims of gender-based violence. Of these, 228 were direct victims of femicide. 223 were cisgender women and 8 were trans or travesty women. In 54% of the cases, the victim knew her attacker. So this shows how the violence is not like the result of isolated events, but often comes from everyday relationships, from structures that tolerate and like silent it. And it's also true that we have made progress. For example, in Argentina, was a pioneer in Latin America with gender-focused law. In 2010, we legalized equal marriage. In 2012, we approved the gender identity law. In 2018, the Micaela law made gender training mandatory for public officials. And in 2020, abortion became legal. So you know that legal change does not always mean like cultural transformation, and that's the point. And progress it's neither like simple or straight. So the truth is, violence in Argentina continues. Thank you so much.
私からはアルゼンチンの現状について説明させていただきます。アルゼンチンにおいて女性は毎日、日常的に性差別と戦っております。アルゼンチンでは35時間に1人1000に基づく暴力によって女性が、亡くなっているとされています。これは非常に身近なことであり、ほとんどのフェミサイドのケースは知り合いによって起こったということも、数字として出ています。アルゼンチンの中である程度の進展はあり、例えば2012年、18年、2020年における法制度の改定だったり、中絶が合法になったりだと、法の改正によってこの現状が進展しているとも言えます。
Alright, so let's dive into the situation in Malaysia. So I have two perspectives to bring on here. So let's look into the positive developments and also the negative developments as well. So the current situation in Malaysia, let's look into the positives one first, where we are looking into the education excellence in Malaysia, where we have near full gender parity achieved, where girls and women in Malaysia enjoy equal access to education with all levels, with enrollment on par with or exceeding men itself, and high female academic performance. Women consistently perform very well in public examination and also dominate in several academic fields. For example, in University Malaya's in 2024 medical intake, over 60% of students were women, and female enrollment in law, education, and also health sciences remain very strong. And also we are looking strong women presence in key sectors. For example, I would like to introduce you to Tun Tengku Maimun binti Tuamat. She's the former Chief Justice of Malaysia, and she was the first female Chief Justice in Malaysia, and we also had the first Deputy Prime Minister of Malaysia, which is a woman, and she is actually the current wife of our Prime Minister, Dr. Aziza Wan Ismail as well. So maybe you would like to change it before I go to the next point, maybe? Yeah.
私からはマレーシアの現状について説明させていただきます。マレーシアはポジティブな面、まずはポジティブな面について話させていただきます。教育の場では、女性は非常に高いパフォーマンスを残していて、さまざまな分野におけるその優秀さが認められております。この、例としては、現在の副大統領が女性であったりとかなどが挙げられます。
So looking into also the negative side or the declining trend in Malaysia, where we have gaps in labor force participation remains significant, because in 2024, women labor force participation stood out at 51.6% compared to 78.4% of men in Malaysia. What are the causes of gaps? So we have unpaid caregiving responsibilities, workplace inflexibility, like lack of flexible hours or remote options. And we also have limited access to male-dominated industries like construction, oil and gas, and high-tech manufacturing. So we have skilled female engineers in manufacturing hubs like states like Penang often exit the workforce after starting families, and also due to inadequate childcare support. So we are also looking into a declining trend of women in senior management, fell from 40.4% in 2022 and into 36.2% in 2025. So that's it for now, and we will explore into more later on in the conversation.
続きましては、マレーシアにおける現状のネガティブな側面について説明させていただきます。ワークフォースに2020年になっても女性はワークフォースにおける少数であり、例えば男性主導産業、建設、石油、ハイテク産業などにおいては少数となっております。これは育休などのサポート不足によるものだとも推測されております。
I'm talking about the Korean current situation and the problem and the changing situation and the role of our group. So, first of all, according to the World Economic Forum's Gender Gap Index 2025, Korea ranks 101st out of 148 countries. Within the OECD, it has the widest gender pay gap. Women are only about 69% of men's wage.
続きましては、韓国の現状について説明させていただきます。ワールドエコノミックフォーラムによる現代ギャップ指数では非常に、低いとか、ランキングにより OECD では一番大きな、ペイギャップがあるとされています。
And many women experience career breaks due to childbirth and childcare, and they face difficulties returning to work. And women are still underrepresented in leadership positions, and hiring discrimination continues. And legal protection against gender-based crimes such as like stalking or digital sex crimes is also not strong enough. And it is quite related with religion, because lots of people want to establish anti-discrimination law, but it is quite trouble with because Christian demonstration to block it.
現状の問題点といたしましては、育休から女性は仕事に戻りにくいこと、管理職には非常に少数であること、そして、法制定を行おうとしてもキリスト教信者によるデモ活動が行われることなどが挙げられます。
また、ストーカーなどの犯罪についての法的保護も弱いです。
But there are some changing situation in Korea because my company is hiring in the blind, so we don't see the gender or their name or their age. So a lot of girls hired. So even not just girls quarter, we have like not official male quarter. So even we don't try to hire boys, and they can't enter my company because their score is too low. And then there is after the nth rule scandal, law against digital sex crime was strengthened, And parental leave and family-friendly employment policies has expanded, encouraging more fathers to take childcare leave.
これに対して近年の変化といたしましては、性別や名前を見ずに雇用を実施するブラインド採用を行う企業の増加、そして法制度の改善により男性でも育休を取りやすくなったことなどが挙げられます。
And after the Me Too movement gave women a stronger voice, and feminist activism among young people is growing both online and offline. So girls' political engagement is getting higher and higher, and it was like quite meaningful result in our president election. And they always gather in the plaza or square. They always make their voices, and it is quite good matter to make those kind of girls' voices into put their efforts in the political session by like legislation. And schools and media are also paying more attention to gender equality, representation, and diversity.
また近年では MeToo などによりフェミニズム活動が増加しております。これによって女性が発信する機会も増加しており、女性の政治的な関与が高まっています。これにより大統領選挙などに女性の声が反映されることも多く、声が多く取り込まれることによって学校やメディアもそのダイバーシティ教育などに注意を払っている現状があります。
And if someone don't have their like awareness of gender equality or the minority, they can't be a member of Valid because we felt it is very a main factor to be a member because we think that love is the most important factor especially in the politics, because love makes people to live better life, not me, not us, like everyone. So we are making some newsletter to spread, especially about gender equality issue, and making some kind of like conference to talk about in the Korea. Thank you.
法制度が人々の暮らしに密接に関わることによって、法が一番重要な要素だと私たちは捉えています。そのため、ニュースレターなどを作成し、会議などを開催することによって、ジェンダー平等の重要性について主張しております。
Right. So as much as the panels have shared, I think I also share Singapore's perspective. So just a very good kind of like a summary as well. In Singapore ourselves, we have meaningfully progressed through gender equality. We are ranked 8th in the world, in the highest Asia Pacific. Women now make up about 32% of our parliament. So we have about a very large number of women that is represented in the ministry level. And we talk about management level, we have about 40% of women in the role with a management level, but also a lot of these roles like are CEOs of the banking and tech industry in Singapore. I think what's important that I would like to bring your attention to is the gender pay. How many of you guys here wants to get a lot of money when you are working? Raise your hands, right? Maybe you want to pay well, right? So in Singapore, the gender gap is every dollar to a man, a woman earns 94 cents. So can you see the difference? So you see any man around here, you can just ask him back for the 6%. But I think what's important is the fact that you understand how the numbers is a difference when it comes to gender pay. Maybe translators, you want to go ahead first?
私からもシンガポールの現状について説明させていただきます。シンガポールはジェンダー平等においては非常に進展している国といえます。世界では8位にランクインしていて、議会の 32% が女性、そして管理職の 40% が女性となっております。銀行協会の CEO などの管理レベルの人々なども多くおります。
Okay. So The next thing that's quite important is also the fact that a lot of improvement has been put into parental leaves. So if you are going to be starting a family, you're going to be husband and wife, mothers have about 16 weeks of maternity leave. But in Singapore, we also have fathers having leave, paternity leave of 4 weeks in advance. And in my own company, I gave the fathers 10 weeks. Because to me, it's important as much as the mother is holding 16 weeks, the father should also be present for the 10 weeks. So that's how gender equality works in all our own spaces. But government has really put in an increase in those. But I think what's important is when it comes to caregiving, responsibility still falls heavily on the woman. And that's why we are here having this conversation. I think looking ahead, I think one of the things that Singapore is trying to do is to advocate and provide more support for empowering young women, especially in STEM. I think as you all know, we are in Asia, and I think STEM has really needed a bit of boost in the Asian community. But looking ahead, I think we are looking to be able to do a bit more stronger in workplace protection. I think just like how Mingyu shared about how we have to love and be able to support each other. I think a lot of time caregiving and single parents today have been a rise. And how can we continue to support and pay close attention to the leadership gaps, especially being a woman? Equality in Singapore has come a long way, but to be very frank, the work has not been finished.
シンガポールは育休制度に力を入れていて、女性が16週間取るのに対して法制度では男性は4週間、そして私個人といたしましては、私個人の企業では10週間取るような制度になっております。しかし、育児においては、非常に女性の役割になる傾向が強く、そのため私たちは若い女性にとって STEM 分野での活躍をサポートしたりだとか、先を見据えた職場における保護を行っております。シンガポールでは多くの進歩を遂げていますが、まだ前進する必要があると言えます。
Alright, so now we have talked about, the current situation that we are in. Maybe we can dive into what each of us in the organizations has been working on, and maybe we can wrap it up together as well with what has been some of the backlashes in your efforts. Like, what was the challenges so that people can have a bit more. Like, maybe to the speakers on the floor, I think maybe what we can also do is to be able to give like a short snippet and tackle one problem at a time so we can then open the floor to questions later.
Are we talking about the challenges or just like the organization challenge?
I think, yeah, so it can either one, okay. But what hits more closely? Because I think we have a bit more gender woman based, so I think real life stories will impact. Okay.
バックダッシュについて説明させていただきたいなと思います。日本のバックダッシュの流れと、あと残されている課題についてなんですけれども、日本はその90年代にその男女共同参画基本法っていう法律であったりとか、女性議員が増えたりとか、そういったところでジェンダー平等に対する流れっていうものが基盤が築かれたと思います。ですがそのすぐ後2000年代に入ってすぐにジェンダーバックダッシュといったものが起こって、例えば性教育に対する激しいバッシングっていうものが起こっていて、そこからずっと緩やかにバックダッシュっていうものが続いてきているんではないかというふうに考えています。で、最近のバックダッシュだと昨年とか30歳だったら子宮摘出っていう言葉であったりとか、今年に入ってもその男女共同参画っていうの間違いだったっていうのを政治家が発言していたり、そういった現状っていうものが今も続いております。もちろん進展したところもあるんですけど、今のジェンダーバックダッシュに関してはそんな現状が流れています。一旦ここまでお願いします。
先ほどの司会の方の役から始めたいと思います。ここからは私たちが置かれている状況について深掘りしていきたいと思います。ご自身の組織で取り組んできたこと、またその中でどのような課題があったかというところについて伺っていきたいと思います。先ほど次の役に移りたいと思います。
Now we'll be talking about gender backlash in Japan. In the 1990s, Japan saw progress towards gender equality with the increase in women parliamentarians and the enactment of the Basic Act for Gender Equality, Equal Society. However, by the 2000s, a backlash against gender equality began. Terms like gender-free came to be stigmatized, and there was strong criticism against sex education. Even in 2025, restrictions remain in place that prevent the provision of comprehensive sex education, making it difficult for young people to access sufficient knowledge. The introduction of a system for optional separate surnames for married couples has been under discussion for around 30 years, and although surveys show that a majority of young people support it, it has still not been legalized. Similarly, with regard to same-sex marriage, in recent years the Supreme Court has ruled that refusing to recognize same-sex marriage is unconstitutional, yet legislative debate has not moved forward.
すみません、私の団体が取り組んでいることをちょっと飛ばしちゃったので、そこもお話ししたいと思います。今、英訳の翻訳方でも出たと思うんですけど、そもそも日本の残されている課題として、例えば同性婚というものが違憲判決が出てるんですけれども、まだその法制化に向けて議論がされていなかったりですとか、選択的夫婦別姓というものも30年前から議論があったんですけれども、いまだにそこの改正というものがされていないといった問題ですとか、あとはその中絶というものもこのライフクラッシュにおいて結構他の国では会話されて議論されていたりすると思うんですけれども、日本はその堕胎罪というものがあるにもかかわらず、堕胎罪だったり配偶者同意要件といったものがたくさん課題があるんですけど、まだそこに対する議論というものが盛り上がっていないという課題があります。でそういった残されている課題に対して、私が所属している SRHR ユースアライアンスでは、例えば選択的夫婦別姓の勉強会みたいなもの、実際に弁護団の方々を呼んで、裁判をしている弁護団の方々を呼んでワークショップを行ったりですとか、あとは実際に若者で集って5年ごとに男女共同参画基本計画っていうものが日本の政府によって計画されるんですけれども、それに対する若者の意見っていうものを出し合って、それを実際に政府の方にお伝えするといったことをやっております。
My organization, SRHR, holds workshops and awareness-raising activities on gender equality with lawyers actually advocating in that field, such as for problems such as optional separate surnames for married couples and same-sex marriage. We also create policy proposals for the Japanese government and participate in international conferences and provide reports on these issues to raise awareness.
Okay, first of all, I wanna talk about my organization, Youth Diplomats. We always work with this perspective. I mean, all our activities are involved with this, and we are trying to improve that people talk about this, right? Because talk about gender or gender equality is not like a trend. It's about, I mean, justice. It's about democracy. So how important is to be part of this talk. And about our country, because that was the reason because I asked you. We have a problem because in 2024, due to the inefficiency, the Ministry of Women, Gender and Diversity was closed, a decision that sparked many reactions. So I have like an activity, because imagine that these are like gender public policies. I want to ask you if we should like improve it. What do you think about it? We have to improve the gender public policies in general. You have to answer. Okay. Yeah. Okay. We have to improve it, but should we destroy it completely if it's not working? Okay. So that the question, the answer is not, because when the state or the government like withdraws or pretends to be neutral, inequalities grow. So that's a big problem, you know. We have to improve our policies, but we can't destroy everything because it's not working. We have to improve it. It's not destroyed, okay? So but that's it. That's the perspective of my country, and our organization is trying to be part of these talks that are necessary to change our culture and our society, because the public policies are not going to change forever our situation, global situation. It's necessary that our culture and our society understood what's happening and why we have to change. Thank you so much.
Sorry, I just want to add on. So what you're trying to say is that the government had created a policy didn't work.
Yeah.
And what happened was they destroyed the whole policy to start renew again.
Yeah, the government closed this ministry because
Okay.
it wasn't working,
Okay.
but he didn't try to fix it or to improve it. It was like, okay, we have to close it because
Okay.
it's not working. That's right, it wasn't working, but they never tried to,
Improve it. Okay, so it's a one-time decision.
Yeah. That was the reason that, because I say that we have to improve it, yes, but it's not necessary to break it or to close it.
I see. Okay. Yeah, I hope this gives the floor a bit more understanding of that situation. Translators?
You need it again.
ここでアルゼンチンのユース・ディプロマツという団体によって行っている活動について説明させていただきます。まず、ジェンダー平等というものはトレードのように軽いものではなく、正義や民主主義のような根本的な問題であることを認識する必要性があります。アルゼンチンの政府において、女性とジェンダー多様性の省庁を担当する省庁がありましたが、こちらは2024年に非効率だという理由で閉鎖されてしまいました。ここで皆さんに問いかけます。機能していない場合、完全に何かを破壊するべきでしょうか？いいえ、改善する必要性がある場合は、それを改善するべきでしょう。私たちの組織は、このジェンダー平等というものを達成するために、政府と連携して活動を行っております。
Alright, so I would like to talk about the two organizations that I'm representing here. Which is the first one, the Malaysian Youth Council, or the Majlis Belia Malaysia MBM. The Deputy President of MBM is already watching me. So I think we have firmly recognized, the Malaysian Youth Council has firmly recognized and also uplifted the voices of women in its leadership structure. For example, we have the guarantees of the Vice Presidency dedicated to women affairs. So I think it is very important, and the provision actually reflects more than representation. It is actually the declaration of the women leadership and also perspective in contribution and also in decision making in the Malaysian Youth Council. And also, I would like to talk about the initiatives that has been taken by the Malaysian Indian Youth Council, which is the organization that I represent. So we have 5,200 members, women members, which makes up the 43.7% of the 11,900 members we have in Malaysian Indian Youth Council. So we are building the female leadership in pipelines, where the Malaysian Indian Youth Council actively promotes women participation in decision-making roles at all levels, from grassroots levels, grassroots youth groups, to national policy-making platforms as well. And we do have a structured leadership development that are designed to equip young women with skills, networks, and confidence to step into leadership position. Where I am actually one of the very example where I was in the grassroots and I was empowered till the point that I'm representing a youth council to another nation as well. So we do have a dedicated women commission, which is the Malaysian Youth Council has established a separate women commission in specifically addressing the issues of affecting young women to ensure their voices are represented at the council decision. And I'm actually very much, I'm actually the deputy chairman of the Women Commission of Malaysian Indian Youth Council, where we do make important decisions on behalf of the council as well. So interestingly, we recently went to the courtesy visit with the Minister of Youth and Sports in Malaysia, which is Yang Berhormat Puan Hanayo. It's a woman also. We have a women Minister of Youth and Sports in Malaysia actually. Yeah. So we had a courtesy visit with her recently, and we spoke about a lot of issues, which consist of addiction, financial literacy, and also such as we also talk about the cultural differences. So out of the courtesy visit, we decided to spearhead and also organize a large-scale women convention, which is coming up on 12 October 2025, where over 500 women participants are expected to attend such a convention, which will be spearheaded by myself and the whole team at the Malaysian Indian Youth Council, which the particular event will bring together youth leaders, policymakers, and advocates to discuss gender equality, leadership, economic empowerment, and also social change. It is also going to be a platform to network opportunities for participants to connect with potential mentors and also collaborators. I think I sent it to the translators. Yeah. Not yet.
私は2つの、組織を代表しているので、まずはマレーシア青年会議、での取り組みについてお話ししたいと思います。この団体では、完全に、女性のリーダーシップを高める必要があることを、認識しています。マレーシア、次に、2つ目の組織として、マレーシア・インディア青年会議では、11,900人のメンバーのうち、女性が 43.7% を占めています。つまり 5,200 人の女性のメンバーがいます。5つのポイントで、積極的にジェンダー平等を促進していますが、そのうちのいくつか紹介として、意思決定における女性の参加を草の根レベルから高めることについて尽力しています。またリーダーシップ開発も重要で、これは若い女性にスキルを与えるために重要です。またマレーシアでは女性委員会を設立しており、私自身その女性委員会の副委員長を務めていて、政策決定に関連する重要な決定を下しています。また金融リテラシーや、文化の違いも重要で、特に私たちが批判しているものとして女性の慣習、女性に関する文化的な慣習ということが挙げられます。
Right, so touching a little bit on the backlash against gender equality efforts, I would like to also share a personal experience very much related to cultural and also social resistance, where in some communities, since it's a personal experience, I would like to just give an example of my very own community, a traditional sort of a setting where traditional integration of gender roles place men as decision makers and women primarily in domestic roles, which can be slow acceptance of women in leadership. So for example, in certain Indian Muslim cultural settings, women are expected to prioritize family expectations and responsibilities over public leadership. So young women stepping into political or community roles may face subtle discouragement from elders who believe leadership is a man's duty. And I think we can all relate where marriages or family responsibility come first more than education or leadership or any sort of youth advocacy. And also let's discuss about political and institutional barrier with the women community. So where leadership pipelines in youth and also political organization are often very much male dominated, with women given supportive rather than decision-making roles. In example, where in some youth councils of women portfolios are very much limited to welfare or culture, while strategic and also finance position remain to be very male-dominated or male-led ones. So I think those are some of the cultural and also some of the backlash that I would want to highlight here.
Thank you. Translators.
ここではジェンダー平等の活動に対するバックラッシュにおける個人的な経験を共有させていただきます。私が住んでいるインド・ムスリム社会は非常に伝統的なコミュニティであり、男性が基本的に決定権を握っており、女性は家庭に残るべきだというものが浸透しております。そして、これが顕著に見られる場面としては、リーダーシップポジション、例えば政治業界などに女性が踏み入ろうとする場合は、年上に却下される、それをするべきではない、家庭で家族を育てるべきだと言われることが多くあります。このような文化的信念が非常に浸透している社会において、私はこの活動、ジェンダー平等のための活動を続ける必要があると考えております。
Okay, about our group, I told you one more additional information. We set 6 agendas, so we make our thinking more like sharply to over to political part, and we collected people's opinions in the impeachment season. We changed our president recently, so that time we gather people's opinion and of the impeachment and submitted them to the constitutional court. Yeah, those kind of things we do, and we wanna be a kind of bridge in the plaza session and the politics session. And yes.
私の団体は主に6つのアジェンダにも基づき活動を行っています。まず政治分野においては、人々の意見をまとめ、それを政府に届ける活動を行っています。例えば、最近あった大統領の段階においては、人々の意見をまとめ、裁判所に提出しました。
And South Korea has been met with a visible backlash. For example, in politics, the 2022 presidential election made this very clear. The pledge to abolish the Ministry of Gender Equality fueled heated debates about so-called reverse discrimination. During the Me Too movement, when politicians were exposed, some of them and their supporters attacked victims and dismissed women's activism. And some politicians try to use backlash to gather their supporters.
政治において女性、ジェンダー平等、そして女性は非常に大きなバックラッシュを受けることがあります。例えば2022年の大統領選挙においては、ジェンダー平等省庁の中の逆差別を問題として女性の活動への攻撃があったり、一部の、政治家はその基盤、フェミニズムなどジェンダー平等活動家の基盤を自らのサポートを集めるために利用しようとしている傾向も見られます。
すいません、補足です。一部の政治家は、そのような女性の活動への攻撃を行うような人々の基盤を自らのサポートを集めるために利用しようとしています。
And in society, resistance has been more visible after the Gangnam Station murder in 2016. Women spoke out against misogyny, but male-dominated online community pushed back aggressively. And during the Me Too movement in 2018, there was widespread victim blaming and calls for harsher punishment of false accusations. And in 2020, the Ansrum district sex crime case led to stronger demands for justice. Yet some people still blame victims or try to downplay the crime. And university campuses, feminist student groups were shut down, lectures were cancelled, and female professors or speakers were attacked in online. Feminist writers and celebrities including those who mentioned the book Kim Ji-young, born 1982, faced harassment and even forced to be removed from their jobs.
2016年に起こったガングナムでの事件においては、女性の活動に対するその反動として女性に対するの活動に対する批判なども行われました。この犯罪を非常に軽視するし、何事もなかったように行おうとする、オンラインでの活動もありました。
2020年にも、そのような、バックラッシュの、事件がありました。一部の人々は、まだまだ被害者を演じていて、他にも事例として大学のキャンパスでは女性学生グループが、閉鎖されたり、講義がキャンセルされたり、女性教授がオンラインで攻撃されるなどの、影響を受けています。
And the damage also extended to economy, like companies such as like convenience store or the cosmetic store faced boycott simply because their ads were perceived as feminist. In many cases, brands withdrew campaigns under pressure and even employees became targets. It's quite severe.
これは経済分野、女性差別は経済分野においても非常に深刻な問題となっております。例えば、コンビニでコスメの広告を出している企業では、それがフェミニストだというバックラッシュを受け、その企業の従業員などもヘイトを受けるなど、非常に深刻な問題となっております。
また、従業員さえも、ターゲットになっています。
Do you have anything else you want to add on? That's about it. Okay. 안녕하세요. Sorry, wrong words, but I tried. All right. Thank you guys for. I know it's a lot of information. It feels like story in like going through your years, but let me just heighten up you guys with my voice. Sounds a bit sexy though, I think. But as I move forward, I think in the Singapore context, I think thanks guys for really sharing. I think I get to kind of like dive deeper to understand each of your own country's issues and how, as a woman, trying to get through gender equality and even putting it through the fact of getting justice to it. Yeah. Let me brighten it out a bit, right? Like I think in Singapore's side of lens. I'll talk about global concept before I go into like personal. I think one of the things I'm very proud to say is that in Singapore now, a lot of women are at a very top position. And I think to me, clap your hands, this is the time for women to start moving up. If you realize the birth rate in the past 50 years and 20 years ahead of us as well, there have been a lot of women, ladies, girls being born, female in general concept. And today a lot of the successes of all these big corporation venture capitals are women. What does that mean for women who are in STEM? What does it mean for women in entrepreneurship? Because these are your future CEOs of companies, and that means that women have more favor in positioning. So let me give you a bit of a rundown. Tan Su-shan, who will become our first female CEO of DBS, which is our largest bank in Singapore. Helen Wong, who was our first woman to lead the OCBC Bank in Singapore as well. Others like Revati Avanti at Flex and Michelle Chio for Miwas International. And all this shows that women CEOs are no longer the exceptions. They are the now and the present. Even in civil society, AWARE, which is one of the organizations in Singapore, they run a sexual assault care center, and they advocate for workplace protection. And these are things that are now in place. Before 10 years ago, because there were so many of non-female CEOs, Aware had more jobs to do. But today, with Aware, they have moved to advocate for different items in the list. One of these examples I'll share with you is that, over 60 groups in Singapore, we call them today United Women Singapore. They reach thousands of girls from STEM to leadership programs. But what's very interesting about this is Aware also faced its own way of getting taken over by an organization. And that is because in 2014, when they campaigned to remove sexist lyrics from an army marching song. So you guys know when your guys have to serve the nation, a lot of the songs have very sexist lyrics. And it's never been put out there unless you kind of go through NX. But what's also happening is because there's been such a low birth rate for males, more females are taking up military positions. And with those days of lyrics that's not changed, can you imagine what our women in army forces have to go through? So what happened in Singapore was the WAN, the Organization for Women, went to campaign against it and call it, it's time to destroy traditions. So even today, many Singaporeans believe equality is already achieved, but what makes pushing for a new reform harder is when people are still stuck in old traditions. And I think that's one of the biggest cases that happened in Singapore over that army military marching song. I share with you the perspective of the country in general. I will give you the lens of a venture capital here sitting in front of you. We invest in 19 different companies in potato productions, and one of the companies is Real Valley Irregular. In all the companies that we have, I can tell you 90% are run by female founders. The reason is very simple. The founder and I have a very simple thought. It's easier to get women to do the job, and that's the fact. It's easier when you find the right woman to accomplish deadlines. But what's hard is when female feels that it's a chore rather than empowerment, right? How many of you feel drained just being a woman? Raise your hands. Yeah, see, maybe you guys want to say it in Japanese? How do you say drained being a woman?
女性であることによって疲れてると感じる方は手を挙げてください。
Ah, correct. This is what I'm looking for. Yeah. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that in a space like this, we have the global concept, we have the government point of lens, but we also have the profit point of lens, right? So you have your industry point of lens. Today we see, I think it's very important because in Fortune 500 today, 80%, 70% is actually female uprising. And how we in organizations or government countries play our role to be able to hit ahead of the timeline is very, very important. So example, like Shamira, your organization, like you guys are very heavily involved, having vice presidents already in female leading. What is it like to push that notch to the presidency, right? And Maria, for you, even destroying and re-destroying, as a woman, in your own organization, how will you have changed the way policies are made?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I think Korea has a very strong backlash with a lot of things that has been happening. I mean, let's don't even talk about K-pop to even begin with, right? But a lot of these have non-social awareness. And I think the beauty of it is that movement like us are now talking about these topics. And how do we then bring it to the global stage, right? And I think earlier when you were sharing as well, I think one important, interesting thing that we listen is in Japan, a lot of the backlashes also happens in the fact that there's been a lot of traditions that has been kept too long for you all to move from where you are starting. But I think what's important is organizations like you guys are youth come together to start creating a united front, just like how we have done it. To be very frank, Singapore doesn't have it all. We don't know everything. But what we do is we keep on trying. And I wish to say the same for everyone.
Can I just
Yeah,
add on
please go
a
ahead.
different perspective? Yeah. So just to add on.
翻訳を失礼します。皆さんたくさんの情報を聞いて、混乱していると思いますが、私からはシンガポール で、グローバルの概念について、そして個人的な話についてお話しさせていただきます。皆さんご存知の通り、シンガポールは非常にジェンダー平等においては進展している国であります。で、シンガポールにおいては最高位の地位に女性がいたりとか、多くのベンチャーキャピタルや起業家のは女性であったり、そのような企業を女性が引き継ぐことが多く見られています。また、例えば DBS などシンガポールで最大規模の銀行においては、CEO が女性だったり、多くの銀行でも同じようなことが行われております。女性の CEO は例外ではないという状況になっております。また、市民社会組織の一つの性的暴力セクシャルケアセンターなどが職場での女性保護を支えていて、10年以上活動を行っています。また、2014年には非常に大きな社会的運動があり、性差別的な歌詞が国の軍隊の行進曲から取り除かれることによって、より多くの女性が軍事的に介入することができるようになりました。
すいません、訂正です。2014年、軍隊の行進曲から、性差別的な歌詞を取り除くキャンペーンが行われました。今、軍事分野において多くの女性がいるものの歌詞が変わっていないことは問題です。また、現在多くのシンガポール人は平等がすでに達成されたと信じています。しかし、新しい改革をより困難にするのは古い伝統の中で行き詰まっている時です。ベンチャーキャピタルでは19の異なる企業に投資しており、そのうちの一つを紹介したいと思います。9割が女性のパートナーで運営されている電気自動車の企業があります。女性疲れの話に移ります。女性疲れということもあるかと思いますが、経済的な利益やその他女性が組織にいるということの利益の視点が重要ですよね。特に産業において、政府の組織は国々が私たちの役割を果たすために先頭に立つことができます。韓国におけるバックラッシュはとても衝撃的ですよね。ただ、言えるのは多くの伝統があまりにも長く保たれてきたということです。しかし一方で私が重要だと思うのはあなた方のような人々が組織に集まることです。
これから Q&A のセッションに移るので、皆さん少し前の方に来ていただけますでしょうか。So from now we have a Q&A session, so all members please come to the front sheet. Remember, come to front, right? Yeah. Q&A, yeah.
You just want to move there in the front. It's okay lah. Just sit wherever you're comfortable. Don't worry, we can see you. It's a big crowd. All right, guys. So we're gonna do question and answers. But I think also in run off time, we also want to speakers. What you can do is that once you answer the question, maybe you can also talk about how you think the future will look like.
Okay.
Okay. So at least we conclude it. Okay. Please introduce yourself and tell us where you're from.
質問をする際には自己紹介をしてどこの出身なのかを説明お願いします。
Hello ladies, thank you so much for the insight today and it was great. So, introduction, right? Okay, so my name is Rafana. I'm from Brunei. Maybe just a bit of a background, gender equality, women in general in Brunei, almost 60%. I think similar to Singapore, hold managerial roles, so like equality in terms of opportunities for education and all is like similar to what you guys just shared. But I personally believe that if the world, there's this saying where if the world was like presidents and all dominated by women, I think we would be having tea in the afternoon instead of having wars. But also, like, I personally believe that instead of equality, because I understand that men also have their own capabilities that women don't have. So I personally believe equity is more important than equality. So, because I'm pretty sure we're all equal, like we have focused on so much achievements, but because Brunei, like I mentioned, hold like a lot of managerial posts and stuff, it pressures them to a point where they cannot, this is a problem, cannot produce breastfeed milk because of the stress, so it occurs to their health. So being expected to also hold a responsible to the economy, family, how can we shift the conversation towards equity, addressing real needs and barriers, rather than focusing on formal equality, like with the men also, so we can work hand in hand? Like, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think I would love to share on. I always forget about you guys. I'm sorry.
私、質問者はブルネイ出身でシンガポールの状況に似ていて、かなりジェンダー平等においては進展的な国であります。そして私個人的には世界がもし女性が、管理職などを多く占めていたら、戦争とかなくて午後にはお茶を飲むような楽しい世界になっているかと考えております。しかし、同時に男性も自分自身の能力を持っていて、女性にない能力も持っているため、平等こそが重要だと考えております。
Okay, thank you. I will continue. したがって、私の質問としては、経済分野においてどのようにその公平性や、本当のニーズ、を、すいません、どのように経済分野でどのようにニーズを保ちながら平等を、男性と同じように達成していくべきだと思いますか？
Okay, my turn now? Okay, cool. So I think it's very interesting, and if we talk about the concept of feminism or equality, so I think I would like to also emphasize on what you say, equity. And we are not trying to do whatever the man does, but we have to understand the fact that women and men are biologically very different, and we have our own strengths and differences as well. And I would like to also talk about the concept of men allies, and I think to achieve women empowerment or gender equity, we can't achieve without the men. And the men and the women, we have to go hand in hand in understanding one another, and also to help one another, to empower one another as well. Because let's just quickly talk about sexual harassment. We often empathize with the women victims, but what happens to the victims who are men, who are boys, right? So we often overlook them, and also we don't really talk about them. And I mean, just look at the panel here. When we talk about gender equality, we're all women talking about gender equality. Two men, yeah, and three, just very few of you talking about it. 4, 5, yeah, it's very handful. So there's a lot to work on as well, but I think let's start off with the 5 of you here right now, and let's go more after this, hopefully. And hopefully we have the men dominating the panel in talking about gender equality and fighting for women's rights compared to, and I think there is an equal responsibility to us as women to talk about the male initiatives, and the man role in empowering the women, having and so empowering the male allies for women empowerment as well. So that's what I think. Mikyung, or do you want to add on? We remember you.
フェミニズムや平等の概念は、難しいですよね。ただし、生物学的に非常に男女というものが異なるという事実を私たちは理解しなければいけません。そして私たちには、強み、それぞれの強みと違いがあります。男性について、話していきます。女性のエンパワーメントやジェンダー平等は男性なしでは達成できないということがとても重要です。私たちは手を取り合い、お互いを理解しなければいけません。また、男性の被害、セクシャルハラスメントにおいて男性が被害者のことも、あります。しかし、私たちはしばしば見過ごす、そういった問題について見過ごすことがあります。その一つの要因としても挙げられるのが、ジェンダー平等について話すとき、男性は、その場にいないことが多いですよね。この場でも、少数ですよね。将来的には、このパネルを男性が支配していることを願います。女性の権利のために、平等な責任が私たちにはあります。
And I think that we are talking about subject is just women, but we are more like visibly think about the method, how we balance. So if women's prestige or like the situation is getting better, then we can use this kind of method to the men, like our company, because like we have a lot of girls in our company, in my company, so we choose that method like men quarter. So we try to hire the more boys in my company. So those kind of things we are like discuss about how we get the balance the method. So we are just improving these kind of things. Then we can more take care that the guy situation also.
Joseph.
このように女性だけが話すことではなく、バランスが非常に重要だと私たちは考えております。状況が改善されている今だからこそ、同じような過程を男性にも適用するべきです。だから私たちの企業では、このジェンダー平等を達成するために働きかけています。
Okay, I'm gonna answer short the girls, but it's important to say that talking about gender, it's not about just women. There are many violence or inequalities that affect, intersex, travesty, non-binary people, and many masculinities that do not fit in traditional models. So we need effective dialogues. It's not about just job quotas that doesn't guarantee you anything, because it's just a job. It's important, but it's not enough. So we need this dialogue tables to focus in another point, because it's not enough and it's not working as we want. So that's the point that I want to say, because we were talking about women, because it's one of the groups that it's more affect, but there are many people that it's affect too. So that's it. Thanks. Can I say something? Oh,
ジェンダー平等は女性に限られた問題ではないことを認識することが非常に重要です。例えば異性愛だったりノンバイナリーの人々だったりも多くの暴力や、差別的行為に遭っております。伝統的なモデルに合わないこともあるため、効果的な対話を必要としている現状があります。
Alright, let's open the floor for other questions. If anyone else other than Ralph. No questions?
他に質問がある方いらっしゃいますか？日本人の方々こちらでもお願いするので。
No question? Then I ask you questions.
You want the microphone?
Yes.
Okay, well.
The microphone.
Hello.
Mike, introduce yourself, please.
Okay, I'm Paula Nieto and I'm from Mexico. Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Okay, I would like to ask these lovely ladies, what do you believe is a proper role or a good role men could have in
promoting gender equality, because I have met many men that do not know how to take part in this movement, and they believe it's a movement that excludes them. I do not believe that. I personally believe that gender equality is fighting for all of us and for a better future for society in general. So I would like to ask you how you believe men could help and men could participate in this movement.
Just a very short
Remember this time.
こんにちは、メキシコ出身のものです。私の質問としましては、男性がジェンダー平等を達成するためにどのように適切に関与できるでしょうか。この質問の背景としては、私が出会ってきた多くの男性では、ジェンダー平等の活動において関与の仕方がわからない、また彼らを排除するための活動だと信じてしまっている男性が多数であることです。
Alright, so I think in my perspective it's such a simple answer, but yet I think it's something that we all have to think about. I think it starts from home. Your fathers, your brothers, husbands, it starts there. Your little brothers, on how do you treat the women at your home itself. It's where you start to learn equity and also equality at home, on how you treat your mom, your sister, your wife. And if you're able to achieve that, and if you're able to treat the women in your household right, I think you'll be able to do that naturally in any other organizations itself.
私からの回答は非常にシンプルなものとなります。ジェンダー平等はまず家族から始まり、皆さんは兄弟などに伝えることを重要視してください。母や姉、妹などを日頃から丁重に平等に扱えることができれば、家庭外の関係においても女性を適切に扱うことが自然にできるようになるでしょう。
はい、男性がそのジェンダー平等に関する話っていうものにもっと関わってもらうためには何でしょうね、結構その男性は下駄を履かされてるって表現をされると思うんですけど、その履かされてる下駄、その特権性でもありますし、その伝統的な役割によって担わされているものでもあると思うので、そこもインクルーシブに話し合っていく必要があるのかなと思ってます。
For the question regarding men working towards gender equality, I believe that men are often said to be put on a pedestal to have certain privileges that are unavailable to women. However, we also have to understand that these are something that men were born into, not something that they have gotten themselves, and so under some circumstances, they might feel under pressure as well. So it is important to achieve gender equality in an equitable way.
Alright, I'll take this question as well. I think coming back to Ralph's question, I think Ralph's question on the stress on women is plainly undivided policies in workplaces. Yes. The problem is a solution that has worked in Europe. Yeah. So Sweden, Netherlands have tried it, and it's actually the fair, equal leave given to both party of the parents. Once you give that, you technically have a fair share in the game. But the problem in our society, especially in Asia, is the fact that we've always given more to the mother, not forgetting the father, but forgetting the father plays a role. Yeah. So I think it starts not just at home, but it also starts culture, traditions, policies, and how you go out there and put the man not ahead or behind, but beside you. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So that's something to think about. I hope that helps in answering that stress forward. Beautiful question, love it. I think the fact that how do we then, keep them ahead, right? Let me give you all a one-on-one on business. When you have a new product out in the market, what's the first thing you see? In all media stations, you see them, right? You see them plastered, new advertisements, new product, new processes. But when we have policies like this, awareness, advocacy, we work even harder, but it doesn't get plastered in all media attention, right? You know the latest iPhone. in a flip of a finger, but you don't even know the latest policies. That has no regards. So, women, think about it, right? You are in that industries, but yet you don't empower your own industries. So, as much as you want to try to fight for that, I always say, don't think the problem's on the other side. The problem begins within. Yeah. So, just some thoughts, But I will definitely say that's why advocacy work is so important. That's why you preach what you preach, and the guy beside you is what you have to preach to for them to preach forward. Yeah, so it starts. So I always tell my younger youth this: if you want something so badly, create a poster and plaster it in all the toilets. Because when you sit down and urine and think and shit, you will see the poster and you'll remember it. That's how Singapore did it. When we wanted people to close and flush the sinks and not use chewing gums, we put it through the toilets first. Think about it. You spend more time in the toilet than ever you think of leaving the toilet. Especially Japanese toilet, oh my god, the hot seat, I love it. Yeah, okay? It's really amazing. But, okay, anyone else want to take that question? If not, we'll move to the next question. Okay, any last questions before we wrap it up? Bo, do you have any questions, Bo? Ask mine? Oh, sorry, yeah. Yeah, forget that again. Wait, give me a minute. Please translate.
解決策は、特に女性のために機能することが多い現状がありますが、文化や法制度において平等のためには女性だけを優遇するのではなく、男性を置いていくのではなく、隣に並ぶことを目標に活動を続けることが必要です。素晴らしい質問をありがとうございます。新しい製品を若い青年に何かを望むならポスターを作成して全てのトイレに貼り付けてください。シンガポールも同じようにしました。配膳するときにポスターを見ることになるので、非常に印象に残ることでしょう。そして私個人といたしましては、日本の、トイレのテクノロジーが高いことに感動しております。
I have another question. So in Japan, some universities have introduced a quota system for female like applicants in entrance exam. So especially like the science field, like fewer students are female in such a. So, but however, some people like complain about this system because this seems like easier to pass this exam, and due to this system, like capacity of another like applicants lower because accept like this such like quota system. So how do you think about it? This system is effectively like to like equality of female and to get a more like female like specialists to make the science field.
クォーター制の効果について伺いたいです。特に背景としては、日本では、特に STEM 分野などにおいて、クォーター大学試験で入学試験でクォーター制度が設けられるようなことが議論されて、それについてのバックラッシュがあります。これについて伺いたいです。
So let me dissect the question for you guys.
You want the microphone?
So I think what he's trying to ask is that because in universities here they have a quota system, and the quota is given through, I mean, not equality, but I think through the gender of how many males and females can go in. Yeah. So basically that also kind of like brings down the number of like say gender or females to get into STEM because there are more seats for male over female. So maybe his question to you guys is, how will you then tackle this situation? What do you think some of this way of like, how would you have done it differently? I mean, definitely, yes, correct. Or how do you tell policymakers why it should be a fair representation? Yeah.
I mean, as I said before, I don't know if it's about the quota because first of all, we have to guarantee that women comes back safely home. Come safely back home, and I don't know if the quota is the best thing. I mean, I don't agree like at 100% because I think it's necessary a boy or I don't know, bisexual people. You don't have to put it in a category. You have to get into if you're interested or not. The quota is necessary, but it's not the most important thing. So I think that the focus, it's not in the correct place, because we have to guarantee many things before that or at the same time. So it's necessary, but it's not the most important thing to guarantee that the representation of women in the society. So do you want to? Oh, the translate. Sorry. Yeah, sorry.
私といたしましては、クオータ制が最善の策とは限らないと考えております。確かに重要ではありますが、同時により根本的な課題の解決に向かって働く必要があって、これは例えば性差別による暴力だったり、より生活に密接なものも解決しなければいけないので、一番優先するべき解決策ではないと考えています。
No, it's okay.
Is a lot of girls using that quota system, you mean? Yeah, the women.
It's a good way to introduce such a system to current entrance examination. Is it the right?
I think.
So the problem to female, because the science field is kind of huge female students, so the college want to make more female students. It's nice, but it's because there's just a huge female students, so female is just gonna hesitate to take the exam because if they're interested in the college, but there's many almost students are male, so it's uncomfortable because there's just a huge female student. So I think that it's a good way to solve this problem, huge female students. So.
Okay.
I think balancing the equality in number is quite better, because if you are minor in the college, then it feels like it's really hard to make voices of girls. If you are a minor in this situation, then if you are just a minor boy, then it will be really hard to make your voice loudly. So I think equality of numbers is really important. So nowadays, I think in Japan, girls are more few than guys. So this time, I think that kind of quota system is quite important. But after that, maybe there's some time that quota system will be protect guys, because time passed, more time go on, then lots of girls had high education. Then girls are more and more smart. So maybe that time it will protect guys, but before that, then it is quite good important system that use how can I say, balance the number in the one society.
I think just to add on to that question is the fact that a lot of time the reason why you don't get enough female instead is also the fact that when you already had that quota, if you open the quota, it makes it easier for people to come in.
Yes, but I think that how do you see such a problem, such a solution is a good way to solve such a situation.
But the solution to it is there's many different ways. One is really purely just giving the girls their own group.
Yeah.
When you create a club and it's just all girls, they will then feel like standing something for them, and then they decide. But this study has a lot of topics.
Just a quick one though. I think
はい、少数派の時、女性が少数派の時は非常に発言しづらい状況になってしまうことから、その場合はクオータ制が重要だと私は考えています。しかし、これに数のバランスがある程度保たれる状況になった場合は、クオータ制を取り外すべきではないでしょうか。
Right. Just a very quick one though. I think it's amazing that so many people that I met here, even the men or women, are not really from women, women from the STEM field, even the men or the women. I think I'm just trying to say that I'm actually a women in STEM. I did my undergraduate in genetics, conservation, and also environmental studies. And then, so I literally stayed in like the forest doing sampling for a whole month. And now I'm actually pursuing postgraduate in marine science, pertaining marine environment as well. So I think very proud representing the women in STEM, even though we are such a small quantity, but I think we'll get there very soon. Yeah. Really nice. Yeah, great.
Alright, thank you so much for your time. I think we have overrun. Oh, sorry.
最後に少し短く、多くの方々が STEM 分野について触れてくださっていますが、私自身も STEM 分野における、少数派ではありますが、学生となっております。まずは遺伝学での学士号を取得し、現在も環境研究を行って、海洋科学について、勉強しております。だから STEM 分野の女性を代表することを非常に誇りに思っております。
Hi, my name is Jorge. I'm from Mexico, and my question is: in Mexico, from the election of the governor of Mexico City, the capital, we have to follow a quote. So even the male candidates won the votes in the election in the polls, but by the gender equality quote, there needs to be a woman who needs to run for the candidature. So, but for the presidential election, there is no quote. So a woman won the presidency without the quote, and in the Mexico City local government, a female won the election, but with the quote law. So, in a healthy democracy, what would you rank these values for to be a healthy democracy, or to have a healthy democracy? The equity or the democracy, or the votes?
I'll abolish the whole system to begin with. That's
Abolish the what?
メキシコから来ました。メキシコでは、知事選挙、首都の知事選挙においては、クォーター制が導入されています。ただし、大統領選挙についてはクォーター制がありません。健全な民主主義に関連して、これらの価値観をどのように捉えますか？
So I guess we'll keep it short and simple due to the time. I think what Mexico is trying to do is really nice, but I think also if it's just purely on like representation and not the quality, which is quite sad. Yeah, it's just very performative. I think in Singapore, I guess I'll speak on behalf of Singapore, but I think in Singapore's point of lens, we don't have that, but we have fair representation. So the total number that needs to hit will still remain. But I do agree that we shouldn't even have that to begin with. But I guess to any of the candidacy, it's more of like, how do you, because the problem is that they're trying to advocate for more women to be in the ground, to be able to connect with the people. But I think sometimes it's not just them, but it's the people that you are trying to create. So in return, I would have created an additional role to say that these are the ambassadors on the ground. So it doesn't have to flow towards, like, it can be a male MP, like a mayor, but he has ambassadors who are females. So it works together as like Justice League, you know, like a Marvel, but basically in that sense. Yeah. Okay.
メキシコシティで行われている政策は非常にパフォーマティブだと私は考えております。女性の立候補者が持ってくる政策の内容や質は考慮せずに、それを知事の候補にすることは非常に軽率なことになってしまう可能性が高いです。
Okay, so thank you very much to all speakers. So our next session, panel discussion, our economy and labor in the global south will begin at 1 p.m. そうすべての登壇者の皆様ありがとうございました。これにてこのセッションは終了とさせていただきます。また次のセッションはグローバルサウスの経済と労働について1時30分よりこちらで開始します。ぜひ休憩を取ってください。これでは以上となります。So for all speakers, we need to take pictures. So just gonna see here. Thank you.